Dancers, thank you so much for tuning in today. Today's topic is an awesome one, and I'm really thrilled to share it with you. It's all about getting back in shape. I actually came up with 50 tips. That's right, 50 tips to help you get back in shape. And at the end of the video, I'm going to let you know how you can grab my tips. For now, I'm going to go through just five, these are five of my favorite ones. So we'll focus on those for this chat. And then if you want more, you can go and grab that 50 tip checklist or cheat sheet that I created for you. Getting back into shape, when I created or started thinking about this idea, I was thinking just when you're starting a new season, mostly as a professional dancer, because as professionals, sometimes we go off and we have time away from the studio, we're going on vacation, we're finally getting that rest and relaxation that we've been craving after a super busy and strenuous season. And sometimes a few pounds creep on, or sometimes you lose some of that muscle tone or definition that you had when you were dancing at your fullest throughout the season. But then as I was thinking about this, I realized that there are additional times when you may feel that pressure to get back in shape or that desire to get back in shape. So I'm glad that it can serve other times as well. Some of those times might be after injury. Injury, again, is one of those times when you might be having really intensive training and then you have to take months off. I mean, I had an injury once where I was out for, oh my gosh, in the end, the total was probably about 6 months. And it was one of those really awful and stressful times because I kept going back and the doctor kept telling me it was going to take longer. And, I kept hearing all those things you don't want to hear. And as that was going on, I totally remember feeling stressed out about, oh gosh, feeling like I was going to gain so much weight, feeling like I was losing all of my muscle and all of my strength. And what was I going to do when I got back into the studio? How could I bounce back? So that's a big time that getting back in shape might be, something that you're thinking about. But then another time as well, which can happen whether you're a professional or a student training to be a professional, is you might have a lighter rehearsal period than you expect. Maybe your company is working towards a show and you're only being used in a small part, or there's only a small core part, or whatever it might be, and you're just not getting that level of dance and rehearsal that you're used to or were hoping for. When we go into a new ballet company experience, you never really know how it's going to go or how much the company is going to use you, especially when you're first starting out as a trainee or apprentice or one of those lower tiered positions. They don't really make guarantees as far as how much you'll perform, how much you'll rehearse, all of that. So you might get into one of those opportunities and think, oh my gosh, I'm going to be dancing so much. I'm going to be in the best shape of my life. And then you end up getting to a time when you're planning to go and audition again, and you realize I'm in worse shape than I was a year ago when I was auditioning. So there's all of these times when getting back into shape is really essential, which is why I thought this was a great resource for me to put together for you. So the five I want to talk about today, I'm going to just go through them, and I'll go through some details for each one so that you can really start to think about it and, take it in, digest it, and, see what works for you. Number one, and this is like, you're going to be like, ugh, fine, whatever. Number one is to go easy on yourself. Each of our bodies responds to things at a different pace, and you have to give yourself the time to come back to dancing at the level you were at, or, regaining the body that you had when you were dancing 8-9 hours a day, whatever it might have been, whatever this difference is. It's going to take time, and it's going to take sometimes trying different things and seeing what's working and testing out what's not. But the number one thing I want you to stay away from is looking for those quick fixes that, take you down a negative spiral and lead to results maybe, but are not going to be lasting results. So number one thing, keep in mind, okay, I have to go easy on myself. I can't expect that this is going to turn around in a week or 2 weeks. Maybe in a month, you'll start to see some shifts, some changes, some actual physical results. But you have to give yourself that time and be patient and, trust the process and go with it. So that's number one, go easy on yourself. Number two, and this goes into number one, and it's another really important one, and something I see with my dancer clients a lot, and that's part of the reason why I think I know that it's so important to bring up. No restriction, no restrictive mindset. Less when it comes to food does not equal more in the long term. Eating less, cutting back, counting calories and eating just 1,200 calories in a day while you're dancing a full day, it's not enough. And while it might yield some quick results, or you might be like, wow, it's a week in and I feel different, or 2 weeks in and I feel different, in the long term, it's going to lead to injury. It's not going to be sustainable. Most of my dancer clients who try something like that fall into a phase or a stage when they are still restricting and then they can't maintain it. So in the evening, after all that physical activity, they go home and binge, or they go home and overeat. So that's why we want to stay away from getting into that mindset at all to begin with, because it really leads to major negative long-term consequences, and it messes with your relationship with food. So never get into that restriction mode. I say avoid counting calories. I don't think it's necessary for dancers. Have a positive relationship with food as much as possible, and don't just try to restrict and cut back to nothing, because it's not going to work. Not going to work. 3, keep in mind hormonal fluctuations. As females, especially if you've already gone through puberty, your body goes through these ups and downs throughout the month. And there will legitimately be those times where your metabolism is revving more quickly and you are burning more off, and you'll require more food. That also might be a time when you are feeling more bloated or feel like you're retaining more water. Those hormonal fluctuations are part of life. When you eat a more healthy, plant-focused sort of diet, it helps with those things, and avoiding obviously processed and packaged foods and all of that bad stuff. Then your hormones are more naturally balanced. However, you're still going to have fluctuations, and it's going to impact your hunger levels. It's going to impact your weight. So keep all of that in mind. Tracking it is one of the best ways to manage it and know when you might be on an upswing of hunger or you might be on a downswing of hunger. So yeah, trust and follow and track your hormonal fluctuations. Track your cycles so that you know what's going on. Number 4 is like my favorite go-to tip. More greens at every meal, every single meal, even breakfast. And I did this on the blog. I gave a few examples. If you have a smoothie for breakfast, you put spinach in it, right? If you have oatmeal for breakfast, this is not a green, but it's a cruciferous vegetable. You pulse cauliflower in a food processor and add that to your oatmeal. If you have another savory breakfast, maybe eggs or something like that, you saute a little side of kale or a side of spinach. I make this kale salad also on the Whole Dancer blog that you can add to any meal as like a side dish, or it can be a main component. It should be a main component. Greens should always be a primary source of fuel for you. But this is a kale salad that you can have at breakfast, you can have it at lunch, you can have it at dinner. Not only on its own, you're adding other things to it, of course, but it's a good staple throughout your days and weeks. So you can head over to the Whole Dancer blog if you're interested and check that one out. And then finally, my tip number 5 for the purposes of our chat here today is to cross-train, focusing on your weaknesses. So sometimes we cross-train focusing on weight loss, or we cross-train focusing on, some specific body part or some specific muscle group or whatever it might be. And actually, if it's focused on your weaknesses, that's what you should do. I don't want you to do what you think is targeted cross-training because you hate your thighs or you hate your butt or, hate your arms, whatever it might be. Cross-train focused on how it's going to improve your dancing. Tanya of Bulletproof Ballerina did a great post about this on the Whole Dancer blog, so you can go there and check that out as well. So those are my 5 that I wanted to share today and give a little more detail and information on. However, as I mentioned, I did come up with a list of 50 tips to help you get your best dancer's body back in shape, feeling strong, feeling healthy, feeling energetic, and all of that good stuff. To get that list, go to thewholedancer.com /tips, TIPS, tips. And you can enter your email address and get the list. If you're already on the Hold Answer email address or email list, I will be sending that to you by email. So you don't have to sign up again. But if you're not on the list yet, be sure to head over to theholdanswer.com/tips and grab my 50 tips to help you get back in shape. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and I'll be in touch. I'll be chatting with you all soon.